I want to alert the American people to what's happening here at the Capitol right now. The Senate, we just began voting on a piece of legislation that would give upwards of $70 billion more to ICE and CBP. There's no accountabilities, no reforms in there. And after what I saw at Delaney Hall in New Jersey this past week, we cannot continue and allow this lawlessness to carry on. This is happening in our name and with our money.
While everyone was arguing on the internet yesterday, the House Armed Service Committee just quietly voted to integrate the United States and Israel militaries. I'm going to show you the receipts. This is Section 224 of the National Defense Authorization Act. The bill is H.R. 8800. It's the 2027 NDAA. Section 224 is called the United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative. What does it do? It requires the Secretary of Defense to appoint a single executive agent to cooperate military cooperation between the U.S. and Israel. We're talking joint research and development, shared weapons productions, and linked military systems and data. Everything from AI to drones to cyber operations.
So you know that language in the bill they tried to sneak in where they were merging the U.S. military and the Israeli military? Can you guess who gave the language to the United States to do that, Bill? Can you guys guess? Thanks to House Democrat Ro Khanna for saying the quiet part out loud, he says this: "Let me be clear, Netanyahu is the one that actually told members of Congress to add Section 224, merging the U.S. and Israeli militaries into the bill. This is why there is no left, there is no right. We all need to be speaking truth right now."
Greetings, my BBBN family. Welcome to Bold Perspectives Network. I'm Mr. Red. Family, today's story is one that raises a lot of questions, and I'll be honest with you all. As I came across some of this information, as I've been looking at the news, I'm going to just tell you that I'm a little concerned. I'm not even a little concerned. I'm a lot of concerned. And I think that we all need to be. Because we're talking about a proposal involving deep military cooperation between the United States, and it's not real. Concerns being raised by members of Congress and growing debate about who benefits from these arrangements and who gets left out of the conversation. Now, before we get started, I want you to pay close attention to the clips because they're going to do most of the talking today. My goal isn't to tell you what conclusion to reach. My goal is to show you what's being discussed, show you the concerns being raised, and ask whether these are conversations Americans should be paying more attention to. We have much to discuss. Let's strap in. Let's get after it.
Benjamin Netanyahu just released a statement saying it was his plan to merge the U.S. and Israeli militaries, and the U.S. Congress is fighting to make this happen. Here's what he said to a U.S. representative. "I was glad to receive your proposed congressional resolution endorsing my plan to shift the framework for U.S.-Israel defense cooperation from aid to partnership. Congress introduced legislation that will essentially fuse our defense industries, technology pipelines, and military data networks. The policy is within Section 224 of the draft NDAA, formerly titled United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative. The bill directs Pete Hegseth to appoint a specific official to synchronize bilateral defense technology. This person will fast-track Israeli-made technologies directly into official U.S. military procurement pipelines. It also calls for network integration and data fusion. This likely means blending sensitive U.S. military data networks with Israeli intelligence and combat data systems. Forcing the Pentagon to integrate Israeli technologies into the core U.S. supply chain gives a foreign government immense leverage over America's sovereign defense priorities. Human rights organizations say that instead of implementing oversight or conditioning military aid, this bill effectively hands a blank check to Israel.
It's like the worst kind of NATO arrangement ever, where we can't extract ourselves from the government of Israel.
We've certainly given Israel enough money. We don't need to integrate our militaries with them.
I am currently outside of the House Armed Services Committee. By voice vote, they just shot down Representative Ro Khanna's amendment to strike Section 224 from the NDAA. And Representative Thomas Massey has committed to trying to get Section 224 struck again, but it would have to go through, if there's another amendment on the floor, the Rules Committee, which is controlled by the Republican majority, and they are obviously massively pro-Israel.
Allowing them to get these weapons without any human rights tests. As it appoints one coordinating person who's going to now have the militaries more integrated. And if there's good technology that we developed, then we should get it.
I think it's even more important now because this week we find out there's a letter from Netanyahu to a member of Congress talking about enmeshing the two militaries.
A Republican on the committee.
Yes, using that in lieu of the $3.8 billion. I think that's a terrible idea. The Pentagon's never passed an audit. We'll not know where the money goes, and we'll be like obligated more so than a NATO agreement. What they're trying to do here in the military, which is to hide that funding, to launder it, if you will, that comes from U.S. taxpayers. They're doing the same thing with the political donations to members of Congress up here.
The base text is unnecessary. We've been close to Israel on virtually everything. Technology, weapons, you name it. And we don't need to have it in the law.
You want to know why he doesn't just want to end the war real quick, just quite yet? You see this here? This is a drone. You can buy one of these online or at one of your department stores for a few $100. But when the government buys drones, we're talking about billions of tax dollars. Daddy bans the drones that we were already buying from China. And then all of a sudden, the military needs what? New drones. And there's nobody to buy them from. Daddy's Pentagon announces that they're spending over $1 billion on American-made drones right here in the good old USA. And here's where it gets good. Eric and Don Jr. just happens to be investors in not one, not two, but 3 drone companies. So let me get this straight. Your dad creates the demand for drones. Your dad supplies the money for the drones. And you collect the damn check.
Family, whether you support this proposal or oppose it, I think one thing is clear. These are major decisions. We're talking about military cooperation, technology, AI, weapon systems, and long-term strategic relationships. When decisions of this magnitude are being discussed, I think it's fair to ask some basic questions like, who benefits? What are the long-term implications of making this type of arrangement? How much oversight exists? And how much public debate should happen before these decisions move forward? When you start really pulling back the curtains, you're seeing, I've never heard of such outwardly combining and support for another nation, especially when we're supposed to be America first. Nothing about the Trump administration here in 2026 seems to be America first. Everything seems to be power first. And this has been at the expense of all of us, at the behest of a foreign leader. This isn't just about the war over in Iran. It's hard not to imagine that this isn't part of some bigger plan.
Councilmember Rick Cole here in front of the former St. Luke's Hospital, where the U.S. Army is conducting a training exercise in urban warfare. As you can hear, flashbangs and simulated gunfire are going on. They're going to be going on for the next half an hour, we're told. It's 1 a.m. and we're in the middle of what is normally a quiet residential neighborhood. Homes literally across the street with people trying to sleep. The Ranger helicopters just dropped soldiers onto the roof. They're simulating an attack on the building, and this is going to go on for a while.
I'm going to tell you something that you need to understand. We have until the beginning of November to get prepared. For those of you who are thinking that the midterm elections is going to be the thing that saves America, it's going to change the course that we're on, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. That's not going to fucking happen. We have already seen it over and over again that this administration is willing to throw an obnoxious, abundant amount of money at primaries and local elections to get their candidates in. We have already seen that this administration still refuses to acknowledge the 2020 election results. This administration has vowed to put ICE agents at every single voting station across America. They're trying to push the Save America Act, which will gut voting rights for millions of Americans. And you still think this is going to be a fair game?
Family, these clips are part of why so many people are paying closer attention to what's happening around them. Some people see these events as routine preparation, others see them as warning signs. Regardless of where you fall, I think the biggest takeaway is that Americans are increasingly skeptical of these institutions and increasingly concerned where this country is heading. I mean, at this point, it's hard to not believe that Trump and his administration doesn't plan to go anywhere. It's hard not to connect dots that these people aren't all in cahoots together. It's hard not to believe that now the Epstein class is fighting Americans. It's hard to sit here and to continue to say that you support MAGA and you support Republicans, you support these Democrats, you support people who are more worried about their pockets, more worried about the people that pay their campaign funds. They are more interested in power, whereas we have to worry about surviving now.
Hi everyone. So I want to clearly say that this compilation that I've put together for you to see are people that I may not specifically platform myself because of my belief system. But what I'm trying to convey to you here is a compilation of individuals that have the ear of the majority of our more right-leaning population here in the United States, from young to old, but definitely the young. So this is just my way of saying, Israel, you are cooked for good. I'm Israel Bye.
Israel's goal is like the greater Israel. No matter what anybody says, Israel's main goal is the greater Israel. They want to expand the borders. They want to fucking level Palestine. This is a fucking fact. We all know this. We all know this. And it just got radical because of it.
Did you see that Sean Strickland got banned from the White House for talking about Israel?
I'm not surprised at all. Freedom of speech is what really makes this country great. And when you can't criticize a foreign nation, come on, man. We ought to be able to criticize our own nation, let alone a foreign nation. In fact, that's the only nation you're not allowed to criticize. Something's going to change because evil empires don't last forever. There's always a rebellion.
And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty.
What they've done to Gaza is fucking insane. It's insane. And if you can't see that, if you can't say that, and your response is, Israel has a right to defend itself. Like, what are you talking about? Against what? Children? Right. Against women and children that are getting blown apart? Against aid workers that are getting killed? Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we can't have a rational conversation if you're not willing to address that.
How much of the narrative that is in our news today has been spoon-fed to me by people who are super pro-Israel at all costs, who won't tell the truth about Israel, no matter what it is, and will cancel you if you don't befriend or defriend people who do. And so this whole thing has made me reevaluate. Like, I'm just starting from square one, basically, on Israel right now. And I'm actually, day by day, taking a much harder look at who are they? What do they do? How do I find real information on what happened in this war in Gaza that I will trust? Because I do know I'm being propagandized.
These characters are just being inserted into places to serve Israel. That makes Israel the master of the universe. Yes, it is an occult nation. There's no question about that. Everything that they are involved in is occult. And that's why we have to sort of wake the world up to this very quickly, because they have a lot of power. And the only way that we are going to be able to fight this is by being willing to tell the truth.
But I do have a lot of uncomfort about America's relationship with Israel. I believe that group it just feels like a satanic regime. It feels like they just want to cause pain. And I believe that if we don't speak up now, that our children won't have the chance to speak up, either by law or by worse.
What's interesting and concerning about these issues, it isn't, limited to one political group. You're starting to hear questions from people across the political spectrum. Some people are questioning foreign policy. Some are questioning government priorities. Some are questioning the influence of money and special interests. And some are questioning something that we can no longer deny, that a foreign government is intertwined with the United States. And these came up in many elections, especially since Trump has been in the political realm, about foreign influence. These were the things that people brought up, and what are we seeing and hearing now? At the end of the day, family, whether you agree or disagree with these clips or the people in these clips, These conversations are happening right now across the country, and the question is whether Americans are paying attention to them. Stay vigilant, stay engaged, stay revolutionary.